What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to talk about Thena and a very, very expensive character that you have to buy 2 deluxe pack characters to be able to get in Makari and Gilgamesh. And Gilgamesh and Makari are absolutely worth those crystal costs, but when you tally up all the costs together, is Thena really worth it? Well, I'll let y'all be the judge of it. In my opinion, she feels a bit underwhelming, at least so far. Now, she is only level 60. She doesn't have a very good build, right? It's the same old thing that I always do. She has 22,000 physical tag. Her stats are pretty much maxed out. She does have the leadership tag. She doesn't have any Urus. She's level 60, level 20 gears. She is lacking a couple things, at least in my humble opinion. Let me know if you disagree or agree with this in the comments down below, but I really feel like Thena needs a heal. This character has no heal in her kit. I mean, she's got guaranteed critical rate, which is good for a CTP of rage. I mean, good to get those extra critical hits. She's got damage accumulation with the uniform. Without the uniform, she doesn't have the accumulation, but this is only 0.6%. This isn't that good of accumulation. It's nice that it lasts for 10 seconds. It's nice that it has 5 seconds of immunity. It's nice that it has 3 seconds of paralysis. These things are really, really sweet, but it would have been nice if the accumulation would have been something like Makari's with plus 1% or above, like Moonstone. That would have been so much better. I think that would have helped her a lot. And then her 4th skill also gives her paralysis. So she's got 3 seconds of paralysis on her 3rd skill. She has 3 seconds of paralysis on her 4th skill. And if you separate these 2 skills, you actually have a lot of CC in regular World Boss, other than the last 2 phases of Thanos and obviously against World Boss Legend, which is nice. I mean, that is a good part of her kit, but she only has this all defense down that goes up to 30%, which is kind of, it's not really the greatest in all honesty. And then her 5th skill does give her invincibility, and this is for 5 seconds, and it does give her a 25% attack buff and a 20% crit rate buff, whereas in the base kit, it's not near as good. Her 5th skill only gives her 10% attack. She doesn't even get a crit rate buff, and she has 4 seconds of invincibility instead of 5 seconds. So the uniform is going to be better. Also, the uniform gives her extra chain hit damage by 10% when attacking. That's really awesome. The guard break immunity is nice, and the decreased basic damage received is actually a necessity for Thena because she just doesn't have any heals in her kit. She has no really means of survivability, and having that decreased damage received is actually really, really nice. And whether you play the character in her uniform or her base kit, you'll find that the rotation is going to be pretty much the same for you for the most part. So the funny thing about Thena is you can actually play her a few different ways when it comes to her rotation. There's a different ways you can actually approach this. You do have the paralysis on the 4, and you also do have the paralysis on the 3. So if you actually separate those things, you can actually increase your survivability in regular World Boss because you actually have the extra CC. But remember, you also have invincibility on your 5, and you have immunity on your 3. So if you're separating the 5 and the 3, you're also going to do a little bit better as far as your survivability. The caveat to it is that you're not combining all 3 of the skills together. You'll do the most damage whenever you hit the 4, then the 5, delay, and then go into the 3, right? But a lot of times the proc will trigger early. So what you can do if you really want, so you can separate the paralysis and separate the invincibility immunity, is you can actually hit the 4 and then just go into the 5 and put the proc on the 5. Let it play out, right? Your paralysis will wear off after 3 seconds, and then you can actually hit the 3 afterwards to get that 3 seconds of paralysis afterwards to have a little bit more CC. And by the time that finishes, you'll be pretty much ready to go back into your 4, 5. Now, you could just go 4 and then go into the 3 and put the proc on the 3. If you put the proc on the 5 or the 3, the damage is virtually the same either way. I'm not going to talk really about the tier 3 because I don't have her at tier 3. I'm not really sure how to play her. But whenever you're using her at tier 2, you mainly are just going to be using your 4, 5, and her 3. And remember, in her uniform, she has a much larger attack buff. So procking on the 5 in her uniform actually would probably make a little bit more of a difference. However, I can tell you, when you combine the 4, go into the 5, delay the 5, go into the 3, you will do the most damage. But you'll also notice that you're going to lack a little bit more survivability because you're waiting for your skills to get off cooldown, so you're just kind of running around, and she doesn't have any heals, so she can die pretty easy. Even with the decreased damage received with her uniform, she dies pretty easy, man. And then she has the stage 5 Power of Angry Hawk Set. She's just got a little critical damage with 130% damage proc, and then of course the uniform is only at normal. So I'll show you guys what she can do against regular World Boss. She is a physical attacking character, so we're going to go against Proxima, and we're just going to use her own leadership, which is awesome, right? Her leadership is amazing. 50% to all allies is awesome. And then we have White Fox because she does have the leadership tag. And then we also have Cersei because Cersei actually gives her a decreased damage received on top of the increased 30% all attack. right? The decreased damage received is to supervillains, and she also gets an increased damage to supervillains from having Cersei. So Cersei is just an amazing support for Thena. And I'm going to go ahead and use Venom. The reason I'm going to use this Venom instead of the other version of Venom is because the other version of Venom actually offers a 50% all defense down, and Thena has 30% all defense down. So, I mean, when you're actually playing, it's better to have the other version of Venom. It's better to have that 50% all defense down. You'll do a little bit more damage, but I just want to show you guys an accurate representation of her damage without having the extra all defense down. So I'll try to do the combination of all three skills combined, but really she does set off the proc very, very easy when you do that. Well, actually, let me show you something else. I'll just go 4, 5, right? So 4, and there's the 5, right? And you see how much damage she did, right? She got down to a little bit below the halfway mark. So let's see what she does when you proc on the 3. Now you could just go 4, hit the 5, get your buff, and then go straight into the 3. You could do that as well, right? If you're worried about triggering the proc early, you could actually just cancel the 5. You won't get the residual damage from it, but you'll get the attack buff from it, because you get the attack buff pretty much immediately. So now we'll go 4, 3 and see what kind of damage we do. And remember, in this rotation, you're not going to get the attack proc from the 5. So as you can see, the damage is virtually the same. It's pretty much the same in her base kit, whether you go 4, 3 or 4, 5. So now I'll try to combine all three of the skills together to see what she can do. Now, she might trigger the proc early. She does do that from time to time when you try to do it this way, because you got to time that 5 perfectly. You have to delay it yet for a certain, like a brief moment. She holds up her spear, and that's when you got to go into your third skill afterwards. Okay, so here we go. And yeah, I mean, it's really, really tough. And see what's happening now? They're delayed the 5 too early, and that's what I mean. Like, she will trigger the proc early if you're not careful. And there she triggered it early because I delayed the 5. And that's what I mean. You know, you're just kind of like, whenever you're doing it that way, at least in the base kit, it's really, really tough, because a lot of times the 5 will trigger the proc. So in my opinion, you're really better off just to go 4, 5, and then go into the 3 afterwards, because that way you're separating your paralysis on your 4 and 3 to give it a little extra CC, to give her a little bit more survivability, and you're separating the invincibility from the 5 and the immunity from the 3. I think that's the best way to play her. Although in her uniform, I don't really think it is best then. So we'll go 4, and then we'll just go 5, right? And then we'll go to 3. We got the paralysis applied here. And we'll go back 4, 5. And as you guys can see, we have a lot more survivability right now, right? Because we're separating our paralysis, right? And also because we're separating our immunity. I mean, she's doing way better now, right? We also have heals out here, though, so keep that in mind. All right, girl. All right, all right, all right. And come on, 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 come on. And we pretty much kept the proc where it belongs for the most part. Now, as you guys can see, down to 1 minute, we got down to a little bit below the 11th bar. So she's on pace right now to do stage 99. And also remember that this girl has 5% pierce in her account. Or not in her account, but in her kit, right? I have 19% pierce on my account. So 19 and 5 is 23% pierce. And in all honesty, like, you know, it's just not that impressive. It's not that impressive considering how much pierce. I also have about 100% physical attack on my cars, along with that 19% pierce. And with the extra 5% pierce that she has, I would think she would do better than this. So let's equip the uniform and let's see what kind of difference there is. Slap this baby on her. Now in her uniform, it's actually a little bit easier to cancel the 5 and actually get all 3 skills combined. So I'll show you guys the damage difference here really quick again, right? We'll just do the same thing like we did with the uniform, or with the base kit, I'm sorry. So I'll go 4-5, and I'll do a 4-3, and I'll show you guys the difference in the damage here. Because now we have a larger attack buff on our 5th skill. So we'll go 4-5. And as you guys can see, the uniform does do a lot more damage. You get the extra chaining damage, you have the higher attack buff, and we didn't even use the damage accumulation, right? We didn't even use that damn thing. So that's also something else to keep in mind, is that she has accumulation on her 3rd skill in this uniform. She did about a bar of damage, okay? So now let's see what she does when we just go 4-3. Because now she won't get her attack buff, but she will get her damage accumulation from the 3rd skill. And I like playing around with rotations to really see what's the best off. Sometimes, you know, having the utmost damage isn't the best. Sometimes it's best to try to keep your character alive, which is kind of a shame considering how much you have to put into this character to get her. So we'll go 4-3. And you guys saw a pretty big burst of damage right there. Now, as you can see, it's virtually the same, right? Whether I go 4-5 or I go 4-3, it's virtually the same as far as her damage output. Now, let's try going 4-5-3 and seeing how that does. And I'm telling you, when you land the proc with this exactly right, you get all the residual damage from the 5, you get the accumulation from the 3. It is monstrous. But her survivability goes down because you're waiting for your cooldowns on your skills. You won't have your invincibility and immunity up as often. So we'll try it. And as you guys can see, we did do more damage, and our proc actually landed a little early. Our proc triggered early, right? And that's kind of the thing, man. That damn 5 will trigger the proc early a lot of times. Now there, it didn't trigger early. There, we actually got the proc where we wanted it. But we're running around a lot, which kind of sucks. And as you guys can see, we're already down to almost the 10th bar. So you can see a huge, huge difference in her damage output, right? Let's see, we go 4-5. Now the proc triggered early. And that's kind of the thing, you know, I think you're really better off just going 4-5. And we died, right? We died. And that's kind of the thing about it. So we'll go ahead and we'll try it again. But this time we're just going to go 4-3. We'll just go 4-5, 4-3. We'll just try that number. All right. Okay, so let's try this. So we already know that we do about the same amount of damage whether we go 4-3 or 4-5. I'm just going to go 4-5. Right, and now I'm going to hit the 3. We'll get that paralysis. And we go back into the 4-5. Right, we'll do the 3. Now I always let that 5 completely finish. Right, while that proc is engaged. And look at the crowd control that we have right now. Right? Look at this. It's also nice that she goes into an iframe immediately on that 3rd skill. And you all can see that you have way, way, way more consistent damage playing her this way. Now already in 1 minute, we're down to almost the middle of the 6th bar. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in something for you right now, which is this run that I did with Makari doing stage 99 against Proxima. And look where it's at, right? It's pretty much the same as it is with Thena, right? And the builds are virtually the same as well. Now, when I ran with Makari, we actually had Nick Fury with a 50% attack buff. So the attack leaderships are pretty much the same, but Nick Fury offers 55% damage to the supervillains. Well, we got White Fox on this team that offers 60% damage to supervillains. And then we had Valkyrie, which offers 50% damage to supervillains. Whereas in here, we have Cersei that gives a 30% all attack and the 30% extra damage to supervillains. So runabout's pretty close to the same kind of team. I would argue that Makari's team composition is actually a little bit stronger, but not by much, right? And Makari there, she has no Urus, level 60, normal rank uniform, 140% damage proc. She's built exactly the same as Thena, except she has 140% damage proc instead of 130% damage proc. So Thena is actually doing as well, pretty much about as well as Makari, but the difference is Thena doesn't have a heal. She doesn't have as good a survivability as Makari, and Makari doesn't use all defense down. Thena has 30% all defense down. And if I put White Fox in leadership, we'd have a little bit more. But honestly, I think you're better off just using Thena's leadership because it's 50%. 30% all defense down, even with White Fox's all debuff effect leadership, isn't going to really jump her up that much. But you guys can see. So, I mean, she is strong. I mean, she is strong. I mean, when you see that, and you see that she's doing pretty much as well as Makari, even with a little bit less of a build, she's strong, but she just feels incomplete, right? She feels incomplete. Like, I really wish that she had, a heal in her kit. I mean, it's nice that she's got this critical rate increase, critical damage increase that makes it easier to max out her stats. That's something really good for newer players. The additional pierce by 5%. These things are nice. But honestly, considering that this character has an extra 5% pierce, right? And was about the same as Makari, just it kind of sours your taste a little bit. I mean, really, they should have gave her a better accumulation. They should have gave her a higher accumulation. 0.6% is not enough. This should have been a minimum of 1%. That would have helped a lot. And then if they would have gave her a heal, like all of the Eternals, every single one of them have heals. Why doesn't Thena have a heal? Why doesn't the character that you need to spend 8,800 crystals to end up getting not have a heal? I don't understand it. No heal, and her accumulation is really too low. She's a strong character, there's no doubt, but I honestly would have expected a little bit more. Having the extra pierce, I would have really thought she'd have been stronger than this. But the uniform does make a difference. It does make her a lot better. It will make her a lot tankier. And I'm going to be a little reserved until I get her at tier 3. But right now, I just feel like she feels a bit underwhelming. I don't think she's as strong as she really should be. And she really needs that damn heal. Netmarble should really reconsider this and should at least give her a nice little heal and her kit. That would make her so much better. But I feel like her damage just isn't good enough, especially for the amount of investment that you have to put into getting this character. So let me know how you're all feeling about Thena. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.